Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
And Shone. I was gonna just do Shone, but I was like, you got to put Jonathan Cain on there because he is, he is.
Yeah.
We were just talking. I mean, he is one of the cornerstones of the band. I mean, even though he's not one of the classic guys.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
So
yeah, didn't I? Yeah, Jonathan Cain's.
Yeah,
like when
so
I kind of I'm a bit weird with. We'll get into it, but I'm a bit weird with Journey. I didn't know. See, in Australia, Journey, and I think it's terrible, by the way, that I understand who they are, and
right.
I think it's terrible. Journey never really hit in Australia very, very much, which is nuts. Which is nuts because Foreigner, and it's and they're kind of from that same ilk. Foreigner were huge here, and Journey is just as good as Foreigner, like just incredible songwriting,
right?
And I was like Don't Stop Believing wasn't even a hit here.
Oh,
Oh yeah, man, it's like, and it's just like, but the very, very first thing I heard was actually Oh Sherry, right? That was a hit here. That was a hit here.
Oh yeah,
and
solo. Yeah, the solo stuff.
And so I was like, who the hell is this guy? I was like 10, 11, something like that. Didn't that come out 84?
Yeah,
84.
I think that's about right.
And it was like this is unreal, right? And then fast forward to like 1989, when I See Your Smiles on MTV Australia, and it was a big song, and I was like, and then I heard the second single, That Price of Love thing, and I was like, I'm getting this record.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to keep in mind, I had no idea who Jonathan Cain was. I had no idea who Neil Schon was. And I listened to this record, and it was just like, boom. And then somehow I realized, and I can't even remember how I found it out, but somehow I realized that Jonathan Cain and Steve Perry and Neil Schon were all in Journey. So I got the Journey's Greatest Hits album, and I just went crazy. I was just like, and then now I've got their whole catalog except for the first 3 albums.
Oh yeah. Right. Well, it was a different band. It was a different band.
I'm not a, I love Pink Floyd,
right?
But look, I'm a commercial rock guy,
right? And well, Evil and I were talking about the Journey Through Time, because that was a pretty cool thing that Neil did.
Yeah, I got that.
It showcases a lot of that deeper, earlier stuff, and he did some of the more well-known commercial classic rock radio stuff. But that was really cool. The fact that he was able to do that. I wish he'd do more of that, just because then it just, it's more for him to do.
Well, I think you might see him, or wasn't he talking about, now I know Journey's going on tour next year for the next couple of years. But wasn't he talking about some other type just recently, about, I don't know what it was called, but another one of those types of bands, that type of thing? I got the Journey Through Time CD, DVD.
Yeah. Yeah, the one he did in, I think it was shot in the Bay Area or something. Yeah. So, well,
I did get to see Journey once.
mhm.
They came here with it was with the current singer.
Oh,
His name.
Arnell.
Yeah, Neil.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He I just his name escaped me for a second, but
Mhm.
they did come here. I don't know. They came here with Deep Purple, probably got to be maybe 10 years ago,
Ah, yeah,
but there was no way I was going to miss Journey. And I'd
yeah,
never seen Deep Purple anyway, so I wanted
sure,
to see Deep Purple, but there was just no way I was going to miss Journey.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the only time they've ever been here.
right. Well,
But
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
that that song here, "Don't Stop Believing," has become big through Glee and Sopranos, and
Hmm.
isn't it like the most streamed song of all
Something like
time?
that. I mean, it
Yeah,
is. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Did Jonathan Cain help write that?
Uh, I'm assuming
I,
yes,
I
right?
think so. The piano
Yeah,
is Jonathan. I believe the
yeah,
Jonathan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Kane Perry
yeah.
composition. Yeah.
Right, right. Which
Yeah.
fits because he brought in that commercial uh sound, and that's kind of what shaped the second phase of this band, right? They were kind of more of a what, like a how would you describe them? They're evil, more of a psychedelic, what, like jam band almost. I mean, it was kind of an
Yeah,
offshoot of like
definitely.
Santana or something.
Yeah, yeah. Being a Bay Area guy, Journey and the members, to me, in my mind, because I first heard Santana before I heard any of that
Hmm.
stuff, that Santana was on the radio in my grandpa's truck. I mean, that was
Right,
just like Northern California
right.
staple. Carlos Santana was a Bay Area legend. So that's kind of like where I could first think of this guy, this guy comes out of that. But yes, they were a progressive rock band, but with a little bit of that hippie
Hmm.
twinge, kind of a jam to it, a lot of almost jazz rocks fusion stuff going on in there at that time. That's where Ross comes from. That Furious Bandersnatch
Hmm.
is like a progressive jazz rock ensemble that he came out of. And I still, as a guy who's from the area, they feel very much to me like they were always somewhere. They were at the baseball
Right.
game. They're there's a guy in
Sure.
Marin County playing at the bar.
Well,
Guess what?
wait.
Ross
Well,
Valerie
wait,
showed up
wait,
and
wait.
jammed with them.
I mean, think about this. He was at the 49ers game last weekend, wasn't he? I don't know that he performed.
Yes.
Shown, right? I mean, they showed
Yes.
they
Yeah.
showed him
Yeah. They're
on the
Bay
camera.
Area. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Kane is not from the area, but as you
No.
know, Perry is from the Central Valley, which is a few hours south of where I grew up. So they all feel like dudes that are like local to us, kind of like Huey
Hmm.
Lewis and the News, kind of
Sure.
like Tesla and some of the
Right.
metal bands, Metallica and stuff. The Bay Area is a
Well, they
very
do.
diverse place with a lot of different clubs and places to play with different scenes.
Yeah.
So,
You guys are blessed, man, to live where
And
you live.
well, I mean, I think, yeah,
well,
I mean, it is cool. I mean, when you think about it now, I mean, getting into, I think we chatted. I think Evil and I did, at least. I think it might have been last weekend. We were going over this upcoming Bad English versus Double Eclipse. But just the opportunities to see both those bands. I mean, I saw um, Bad English opening up for White Snake in 1990 on that Slip of the
I
Tongue, and then
I don't mean this in a negative way,
yeah.
but that, that sucks. Oh
Oh,
my God.
it sucked. I mean, I guess thinking back now, I mean, at the time, I think thinking back now, I mean, I think Bad English was sounded a lot heavier than they do on this album. I mean, it's really
I I
polished,
I I wish I could have.
right?
What? Man.
Yeah, and then we were chatting about the Hardline rather, and then they were supporting Mr. Big, just in Salem. So I saw that the White Snake was Bad
Wow.
English in Portland and
that'd
Mr.
be a
Big in
good combo too.
yeah, yeah, that was also a
Mr.
good show. But again, it's just the
Mr. Big's only been here
contrast.
once.
Yeah, the contrast.
But
But I think with the Bad English, I mean with the Hardline rather, I don't know that that was necessarily a Neil band. I mean, I mean he basically was the prominent member in there, but it was really the two brothers that were in the
Yeah.
band Brunette, and then it evolved into Hardline. I think when they brought in Neil, because Neil I think was the brother-in-law of those two guys. He
Oh,
married like the
really?
sister.
Is that the
Yeah,
deal?
yeah. And then they had Todd Jensen, who's another Portland, Oregon guy who's played with Tommy Thayer,
Mm.
and Harlow,
and
and
no
he's done.
Dean.
Yeah, and then
Dean
and then
probably a lot of
Dean,
them.
who's also from Salem, Oregon, and he had done time with like what is it? The is it the Mad Dogs? Yeah, the Mad
So
Dogs with
because
yeah.
he wasn't in Journey then,
Mm,
was he? It was Steve
no.
Smith that was still in Journey, I
Yeah,
think.
right.
I
Right, but
think
even
they've
like
got.
some of the weirdness with the Journey, I think I've seen him. I've never seen him with Steve Perry. Saw him with Steve O'Geary
Hmm.
once, and then saw him with Jeff Scott Soto fronting when Steve blew out his voice or whatever it was that happened, and then saw him with Arnell once. So I mean, I think I've only never seen him with Steve Perry, but then again, I don't know how disappointing that would be because I'm sure his vocals, based on what I've seen heard, in some of the recordings, is just not what it was. But then that happens with everybody with time. But you know,
I thought the last he's done a Christmas album since, but
yeah,
I thought the
right.
I thought the last Steve Perry album had some pretty cool things on it.
Hmm.
That first single, and I've got the album. The
Right.
name escapes me, that album at the moment. But that first single that he released from that album was just incredible.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where we want to start evil. I mean, do we want to zip through some of the tunes on the Bad English one
I'll
first
go
and
with
then
I'll
chat?
go with whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Uh, well,
Or what do you
I'm
want to
going to
say?
punt the bad English to you two because I'm going to openly say from the get go by my
Oh,
background, it's going to tell me which way I'm going with this. I'm just gonna say from the I don't mind bad English. It just reminds me of it's so safe commercial rock. It reminds me
hmm.
of a movie soundtrack at all times. And I'm a guitar driven kind of guy. And I wish
He's
sometimes
giving it a thumbs up.
in some of those songs, I wish Neil had just turned the guitar up a little louder and gave it a little more rock edge to a couple of the tunes. Probably would have sold me more on the bad English stuff. Obviously, the ballads are great ballads, and you can't knock them. And that's how I heard of bad English. And John Waite has an amazing voice and writes amazing ballad type songs. But I'm in this as a musician for Neil Sean. That's the reason why I would be listening to this. And I just Hardline has so much more of that Sean guitar solo and ripping in some of the songs that I enjoy. So I'm gonna let you guys go with Bad English because I don't really have other than the couple of hits are the
The
ones I
couple of
like, and
hits.
then everything else I don't. There's like almost too many ballads for me. I don't have that many feelings inside Evil's heart.
Oh.
Can I just say it's so good to see the both of you right
Ah,
from
Yeah,
the
it's good to
there
bat.
you
see you,
go.
man. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. No,
And thank you for coming back on.
right. So,
Anytime,
all
anytime.
right. Yeah, so I don't
So
know what we want to
let
do.
let Tim because I know he's a
Yeah,
bad
Tim.
English fan, and let's hear his take on when Neil's coming out of Journey because obviously at that point Journey is gone wherever Steve's left the building. I think is what happened there. So John and him are coming together with John Waite, and obviously John Waite has history with John Cain,
Hmm.
right? So there's those ties there.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
TJ. Tell us what you
Oh,
think.
yeah, yeah.
What do
Go
you think?
for it.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if you heard our conversation before that, we were having, but okay, I've got now because I live in Australia, because Australia, um, Journey, Journey was not, which and I think this is a crime against humanity. Um, Journey was not big here at all. So I, um, the very, very first time I even heard of Steve Perry was when I saw O'Sherry on a very, very famous show here called Countdown, hosted by a guy called Molly Meldrum, who's not only an Australian music legend, but he's an international music legend. This guy is. I describe Eddie Trunk as the heavy metal Molly Meldrum. or the hard rock Molly Meldrum. He was incredible. So I saw O'Sherry and I loved it. I was like, who is that? Who's this? I had no idea. So O'Sherry was a top 10 hit in Australia. And I just continued on my merry way. I was like probably 11 when that came out. And then fast forward to 89, 89, 90, and this song called When I See You Smile came on MTV Australia. And that song was a hit here. And um, and I just saw today that it was written by Diane Warren, and she's the bee's knees in terms of songwriting. And I I loved it. And then they put out The Price of Love, and I love that too. And I was like, right, I'm getting this record. And I think I got the record for my, I don't know, what was I, 17th birthday or something. And I listened to that thing and I was like, this is incredible. Now, you've got to, again, I had no knowledge of who Neil Schon was. I had no knowledge of Jonathan Cain. I had no knowledge of any of these guys. Um, and and then fast forward, I loved it. And then we're not going to talk about Backlash today, but that's an incredible record too. And that record I bought straight away when it came out. And so then I somehow discovered that Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain and Steve Perry, these are all people from Journey. So I bought Journey's greatest hits and lost my mind. I was just like, holy flip, And then now, of course, I've got the entire Journey remastered catalog except for the first 3 albums, and because I'm not really a progressive rock guy, and I think it's all incredible, but and it was really interesting, over the last couple of weeks listening to Hardline as well, because I'd never heard it until so yeah.
Right.
So was Bad English? Did they hit in Australia?
Yeah, well, yeah.
When I See You Smile.
When I See You Smile, the album reached number 12 here, and the When I See You Smile was a top 10 hit, still gets played on the radio today. And I think Price of Love did pretty well. I'd have to look it up on Wikipedia, but I think those that was a fairly big record here. Well, When I See You Smile was definitely a big record here.
Yeah.
So, but to put it in context, and I was saying this before, Journey have only been to Australia once, 10 years ago with Arnell, whatever it was, and I went because there was no way I was going to miss Journey. They were here with Deep Purple, but they've only been to Australia once. I don't stop believing. I mean, I play it at my shows. I did a show yesterday, played it. That song has taken on a whole new thing here because of, well, everywhere really, but here because of Glee and The Sopranos and stuff. But I'm convinced that people don't really know it's a Journey song here.
Okay.
Do you think back in those days, Bad English could have pulled off a shows or a tour in Australia easier than Journey because they actually had some traction with an album that charted and maybe some songs that people had heard?
Yeah, I think if probably think if they'd come here and played some small places with I don't know who they would have toured with at the time.
Or if they happened to had a white snake, bad English, Australian leg of the tour, that probably would have gone over pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, again, I mean, we're getting in a bit of a thing here, but Whitesnake didn't come here till 1994,
Oh,
Wow. Okay.
right. Okay.
and
It is such a
and
long journey. I always forget
Right.
how far it is for these
Mhm.
bands to actually get all of this stuff and their guys over there.
that's why I'm saying, like, people are. You live in San Francisco, right?
Well, I live in Southern Oregon now, but I was born and raised and spent my first 38 years in Northern
Yeah,
California.
yeah, yeah. So bands play there like every week, you
Mhm.
know.
Basically, I get a
Mhm.
fraction. I get like 10% of the shows in Oregon that I would have if I lived between Sacramento and the San Francisco area because they're an hour and a half apart and both get a lot of shows. I mean, weekly bands playing.
What
So,
what about you, Ruben?
Uh, well, I live what is it, like an hour at least? Well, I'm up further. I'm more rural, so it probably takes me like an hour and 15, 20 minutes to get to Portland, which is the bigger city. But yeah, there's shows every night, and
Yeah.
I mean not as many as there were, let's say, like a couple years ago. I mean, I think things have kind of dried out some, I think, just because of the weirdness and the crime level and just some of the illegal activities, the mental illness, homeless folks out on the streets. I mean, it kind of turns people off. But I think the big thing is just the promoters, maybe trying to lowball some musicians and some of them going, you know what, it's not worth taking that offer if we run risk of having our equipment stolen or our Sprinter van or whatever broken into. I mean, it's just the amount of shows have reduced quite a bit. I mean, we still get some decent shows, but what were we talking about? Some of the tours coming through, they typically skip Portland. I know we were talking about like LA Guns and Tom Kiefer. They hit
Mm.
everywhere but Portland and Seattle. Seems like
They
so.
didn't, they didn't see it. Wow.
Yeah.
well, and I think we should explain part of the reason is multiple fold for that. But when the pandemic hit, Portland and Seattle Pacific Northwest was some of the most strictest rules and regulations going on. So no one would do jack up there. And that lasted some of the longest, in my opinion, up in that area. And then number two, geographically, when you look at our maps here, once you get past San Francisco, you've got a long drive to Portland, and you better have a gig in Portland, and you better have a
Mm-hmm.
gig in Seattle because
Right.
there's nothing else up there. And if you don't have a gig in those two major cities, then there's really no reason for us to be going up there unless we're hitting some Indian casino or something.
Right.
And
How
so,
about
yeah.
how about in years gone by though? Like, back in the day, like, you know, um, like how many of those kind of 80s tours and stuff came to Portland and Seattle?
Oh, all of them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
all
I'm
of them.
saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And
yeah.
honestly, I think we should also mention as the time has, inflation, unions,
Mm-hmm.
these things take hold in San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, New York City, LA, where major unions exist. These bands have to pay exorbitant fees to get into these cities. Hotel costs are a major factor. You're going through tolls, traffic, crime. It's a
Mm-hmm.
nightmare to even find a parking space in San Francisco, Seattle, or Portland. Let me tell you, you're going to pay out the ass. Even if you're the band and you have a trailer and a whatever bus, it's a pain in the ass to get that thing in there and to get it back out of these places. And it's just, you better have a promoter handing you the right wad to go through all of that when you could just go to some rural place in Indiana and be a lot
But I'm
easier, less
sure, I mean,
bullshit to
I'm
get the
sure,
gig.
I'm sure like Journey could play, like the
Oh
bigger,
yeah.
like I say
Yeah.
the small, like LA Guns or something. But
Yeah.
um, I'm sure Journey could, or AC/DC, or
Absolutely.
and that's the type of level of
Mm-hmm.
talking about, these bands that we're talking about today, maybe not Hardline, but you know, definitely Bad English got some big tours,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, going out with Whitesnake in '99, that was probably a big tour.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was in the
Yeah.
arena, so yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
White Snake and
So,
Coverdale were drawn in those days for sure.
yeah. Well, yeah. So
So album versus album. So it's safe to say, TJ, you're going Bad English.
Well, yeah, I am. I, but it's like I really listen now. I completely understand what you're saying, Evil, about the guitar thing with the Hardline um
Because
record, you know.
to me, Hot Sherry, the cover that they did, has just as much of that pop rock catchiness in the chorus, but still has some of the Neil guitar that you need to, keep it
Yeah, yeah,
crunchy.
yeah. I I think, look, I I think there is five, possibly six, um, at least at least four songs on Double Eclipse that are just gold, right? Like, as I'm looking at the track listing here, I don't know if you guys want to go through this, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
um,
Name some of the
and
ones you like, yeah.
it's I found it a very, very front-loaded album.
I was just gonna say that the first six songs to me are the ones I'm like, yeah. Then the back ones they kind of started losing me a little bit.
Like Life's a Bitch was okay. Didn't that I I'm only talking as a songwriter here. Some of these arrangements I thought were a bit weird.
Mm.
Mhm.
Some of these song arrangements were a bit weird, but I completely understand what Evil's saying about it being more of a kind of riffy kind of a album, very, very guitar orientated album, but Dr. Love is unbelievable.
Right.
Rhythm from a Red Car, Change of Heart, and everything. All of those songs, man. They're just,
Taking Me Down's good too.
well, see, Taking Me Down was really weird for me. There was, I listened, I listened to it, and they had this kind of part, like, I don't know, maybe a third of the way through the song, where they were repeating the phrase "taking me down" in a. It's hard to describe, like a riff kind of sense, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And um and then that part never came in again,
Yeah.
you know. And I was just like, I don't know. Hot Sherry was really cool. That was cool. That was a really cool thing. I look, basically with this record, I'm convinced, and 1992 anyway, this music was a tough sell,
Hmm.
but I'm convinced they completely missed the boat on the singles on this record. Completely missed the boat.
And I just think they're a band that was 4 years too late.
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
If that
But
album gets released in 88 or 89, I think you probably have a better chance of some of these songs being more well played on the radio and maybe MTV
but
still giving you.
not with the singles they released from it. I mean, Hot Sherry, yes, maybe it's your first single.
I think Rhythm from a Red Car would get some rock and roll play in
I
these
I
days.
absolutely do too. I absolutely do. I agree with you. And Change of Heart, like, what are you doing? I mean, nothing against Taking Me Down, but why is that? I mean, I know you think it's a great rock track, and I completely respect that and understand that, but what are you doing releasing that as a single?
Yeah, well,
Like,
again, some decisions were probably, you know,
Right.
I don't know. We don't know how much Neil Sean had the weight or didn't have the weight. Whether record company guys and producer guys are over their shoulders telling them do this or that. That's very famous in those days. But my point is that by 1992, because at that point in time I'm 15,
mm,
um, I heard Hardline. I didn't mind Hardline, but at that point, if I'm not mistaken, I'm cranking Dirt by Alice in Chains with Them
Mm-hmm.
Bones. And that's a whole different thing, man. And at that point in
yeah,
time, those kinds of
totally,
band had come in
totally.
and started kicking these guys to the side, going, motherfucker, I don't need your fancy guitar work, Mr. Sean. I got Lane Staley over here. And I just was more drawn to that stuff, going, wow, what is this guy talking about? And so So Hardline
But
felt to me like if it just been a few years earlier, man, I probably would have been right there, like, yeah, Hardline. But by that point in time, it got lost in the shuffle for me. Now I respect it more now because I'm able to listen to it with the time difference. It doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in that headspace. I'm an older guy now, and like you, I'm looking for song structure and cool for me as a musician, as a bass player, cool riff structures. I like sometimes the things that are not common or odd to people, but yes, 100%. I definitely feel like they kind of struck out and missed on the singles, the way that those were put out there. And then again, the Bad English had much more streamlined commercial. That single is going to be a hit no matter what off the Bad English album, whether it was 84 or 87 or
Mm-hmm.
88. That song's just too good. It's going to go on the radio, and chicks are going to want to go for a drive on the car with you late at night while you're listening to some John Waite serenade them. That's what's going to happen, right? You know what I'm saying?
but,
It's perfect for it. You know what I'm saying?
but it's not even just that, you know. I mean, it's just kind of like there were other bands that, you know, and I know that this is a completely, you might say it's a bit of a ludicrous comparison. Like, but you look at 1992.
Yeah, got TJ froze on us here. We'll see if he comes back. We lost your mic too,
Right?
Ruben. There he is.
Like,
There he is. You froze
It
up for a
froze.
minute.
You froze up for just a second. It's just internet.
you know, you look at Keep the Faith came out in 1992. You look at Ugly Kid Joe came out in 1992, I
Mm.
think, or 91.
You
91, I think.
right around there though. Yeah.
Um, you know, so there was and who else? Like they would always pick the right singles. They picked the right singles.
Mm.
You know, you can say what you want about Let's Get Rocked, but it was a big song.
It was.
You know, whether you like it or whether you, I'm not, you know, I'm not getting into the, I mean, we can, but I'm not like, you know, sure it was goofy and it was silly. So was Unskinny Bob, right? But
Mhm.
Yeah.
but if if you want your stuff, you want your stuff. I as a songwriter want my stuff to appeal to the widest. I mean, I've got to love it what I'm doing first and foremost, but I want my music to appeal to people.
Yeah.
You know, that's and I, you know, I mean, AC/DC can bring out a rock song and it kills.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think you're right in definitely some regards too, because I think I come with you. When I listen to the Hardline album, the first song I hear is "Life Is a Bitch," and I kind of feel like I like the riff and the music, but the lyrics are a little for me. And this it's like he's trying to be kind of edgy, and I don't. That's probably why I wasn't buying this when I first heard that, in my opinion. And so, like to me, like right there, that's the opening song of the album, guys. If I was the producer of the record company, I'm like, hold on, time out. Can we bump that one
Yeah.
back? Can we change these lyrics up here to something a little bit more? I'm just saying. And so, yeah, feel you on that. I just think also the landscape has changed. The Bad English landscape was 5 years before, and the music had gone a whole
Yep.
turned into a different direction by that point. So
And they were look, they were a new band. They were a new band, but um maybe I don't know, maybe they could have got some real traction on Neil Sean.
I think that Bad English got more traction because it was Sean, Kane, and Waite, and therefore maybe to most people you have heard one of or all three of these guys and their music, and whereas I feel like in Hardline it's Neil, and then largely to people like me in 1992 who didn't have an internet, who are these other guys? Who's that drummer? Who's this guitar player
Hmm.
guy? Who's this guy singing? They're just guys they were new, just never heard of them. So I think that's also a harder sell.
But
Bad English
then
comes with
again,
some resume.
then again with the Bad English, as I've said before, like I had no idea at the time who Jonathan Cain was. I had no idea who Ricky Phillips was. I had no idea who these guys were. None.
I didn't know
You
Ricky Phillips, but I knew who John Waite and I know who
I knew John
Jonathan
Waite.
and Sean were. But yeah. But again, I'm from the area, so again, it's like was it not uncommon in the 80s when the 49ers were winning football games to see a Neil Sean sighting in the stadium or a Huey Lewis. It was just the way it was. There's these guys in the Bay Area going to the game or the Giants games. So yeah, so it's you, Ruben. We have to punt this to you. You're going to be the deciding factor because I think I'm voting Hardline and I think TJ's going Bad English. Hardline. So what are you?
What? I don't know.
Where are you siding here, man?
See, I'm trying to look here. Well, I think with Hardline, one of the things where this thing didn't. Well, I mean, there was the shift, but they still could have probably sold some more records. I think as part of it is that Neil was the one kind of taking control of the album. I mean, he wound up being the producer for this thing. He was working with his in-laws. There was probably already songs written, that were part of the next Brunette album, which is the band the two brother-in-laws had, and then he stepped in and brought in his guys, Todd Jensen and Castronovo. But I think the other thing too is the record label. I mean, it's on MCA, which is like they never did anything for anybody. I mean, you think of the Crocus album, Heart Attack. That's probably the best record they had done since Headhunter, and that didn't do shit. And that still came out in '88, I think, after they did all the polished stuff with Bruce Fairburn, and I don't think it might have been, Tom Werman, because I spoke with him and he was like, he didn't even know who was on the record, but in any event, I think that was part of it. Neil was given control. Maybe he was the one that chose those songs to release, but in the end, I mean, I think on the Hardline, again, Life's a Bitch musically is good. Lyrically, it's not that great. But Dr. Love, I think that groove is pretty cool. The Rhythm in a Red Car, is another good one. Hot Sherry is pretty, it's a pretty good cover. And that's one that Brunette had actually recorded. So you probably know where that came from. I'll go with I'll Be There Too as kind of the mid-tempo thing. That's a Jonathan Cain tune that made it onto the record. And then I do it like Hands of Time with that acoustic intro at the beginning. I think that should have been that should have been released as something, I think. But as we had chatted about the Hardline, that song did make it. The I'll Be There made it into the closing credits of that movie from what is it, Brandon Lee, right? I think it was Hard to Kill. Hard to Kill, was it? Yeah. But anyway, so MCA had tried to do that kind of stuff with a lot of bands, but they were, I think, with them, as they hoped things would happen, they didn't really push things. Unlike with Bad English, you look at the, they had more pull. I mean, they wound up opening for Whitesnake, where at the tail end of things, then Double Eclipse comes out for Hardline, and they're doing smaller venues with still a pretty decent band with Mr. Big. I mean, they had that tour, and that was well attended for the time, but it was a smaller venue. I mean, it wasn't an 17, 18, 19,000 seat arena. And even with Whitesnake, I think that might have been, about 3/4 full, but still, that's pretty decent business.
For 1990, was it? When was this? This was 92.
No, it was during Slip of the Tongue.
Yeah.
Because then Backlash came out, and then that didn't do at all well for Bad English. But having heard and owned that,
they broke up.
They had broken up. But
it was like,
but with the debut, I think the first song that they put out was Forget Me Not, which was kind of different because I saw that on MTV, and at the time they had that the Dial MTV. you know, where you voted for the most popular videos and they did like a 10 video countdown, you know, at the right after school. It was just like you get home from school and you're sitting there watching the top videos. They were in there for a few weeks. I mean, it was moderate. I think it was probably too heavy, you know, for the time, because, and it was interesting because I did recognize, I was like, that's fucking Tom Waite, you know, or John Waite rather, and he's doing this heavier kind of a thing than the normal pop. I mean, it's still catchy, it's still everything, but I think that song might have been a bit too heavy to kind of launch the record. But yeah, I mean, when I See You Smile, I mean, that thing blew up, and then you they were everywhere.
No wonder Forget Me Not is called that, because I never have.
Yeah,
That's.
I mean,
I was listening to it today, and I was going, far out. This is good.
Yeah, and you know, the video was different. I forget. I think they were performing outdoors somewhere in the desert or something like that. But everything was different, you know, about that particular band, you know, because they were more, I guess, accessible, but at the same time, it was like, man, there's some good stuff happening here musically. You just knew they were top notch musicians. But for me, I definitely enjoy Forget Me Not. I think Best of What I Got is another good one, and then Heaven's a 4-letter word, and then Rockin' Horse. There is a lot of ballads on this particular record. I mean, I'm just sitting there. That was probably too many songs on this one. It should have been at least like a 9-song album. I think overall, though, I think if I go song for song, I probably go with the Double Eclipse versus the Hardline record. I mean, it's got a lot of the same players, but I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of mood you're in. Who knows? I mean, I could pop the
Double Eclipse. Double Eclipse is the Hardline record, man.
Oh, I mean, the Bad English record, rather. You know, I think you could put in the Bad English record on a certain day, and you might go, "Fuck, this might be better." I think if you're in the mood for ballads, I think there's a lot of them on there. Where I think with the Double Eclipse record, there's enough of the crunchier guitar work and more grooves and stuff like that that might appeal more to the Van Halen crowd, let's say. You know, myself, I probably lean more towards the Double Eclipse record right now than the Bad English record. Although, you know, anything that came after this with Hardline, it just got softer. So it was almost like they went the other direction. But by that point, Neil was out of the band. So one of the things that we should throw out there too is, I know Evil and I have chatted about this, about the Soul Circus record, which, you know, is
Did
another
that even
Neil.
come out?
What was that?
That come out?
Yeah, I have it. I'll dig it up. I'll send you a photo of it.
Is Sammy Hagar in that band?
No, Sammy Hagar was originally going to be the singer. It was going to be him and Virgil, Donati, Schoen, and Michael Anthony.
Yeah.
And then Michael Anthony, Hagar, for whatever reason, weren't a part of it. They had Virgil on, Neil. He brought in Marco Mendoza on bass. And then at one point, Virgil then left. He brought Dean in the band, and then brought Jeff Scott Soto to sing. So, but that's I have to listen to that because I'm just kind of on the fence on that one too.
Yeah.
And real quick, why did Bad English fall apart? What are the actual reasons for that?
Egos.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you know,
John Waite and Neil Sean.
I don't know. I think honestly, it might have been to do with John Waite.
Yeah.
I don't know the full story. It's hard to, but I mean these guys were on a roll, and I know we're not talking about Backlash today, but that first single from that record, man, that straight to you, it's so good,
right?
Just like, and that's a you know, a ball tearer,
Right.
you know.
That
Yeah, that's why I'm
that
wondering why that started to go. Yeah, and I remember Eddie.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Trunk asked John Waite. There's somewhere I saw Eddie Trunk post, and there was a picture with him and John Waite, and he mentioned something about
Mhm.
bad English, and it was like that's never happening.
Yeah.
That's not
Right.
that's not a go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
something went awry.
Yeah.
I mean that, uh, you know, don't get me. I could talk to you about the second record. The second record is very strong. It's very
I'll go
strong.
take a look at listen. I've only heard a couple tracks, but I should go and dive into that one too just to make sure.
Right. Yeah.
So
that one's a
what
good
do
one.
you so before we wrap this up, what do you think, TJ, of the Kane Sean drama? Is Kane out now and going to the Lord, or is it,
But
now Kane's clarified it and said I'm doing a wrap up for a couple of years of touring here?
see, this is this whole internet clickbait garbage that goes on, right? Like Jonathan, look, Neil Schon basically said, Jonathan Cain's going to leave Journey and stuff, but he didn't, and I know, but he didn't clarify, what he didn't do. He didn't clarify when, right? So from what we know, Jonathan Cain's going to be there for the next 2 years doing this tour, and then he wants to go because he's a Christian guy and he wants to go and do his ministry stuff. That's fine. I don't know what's going to happen to Journey after that. I don't know.
But
But
don't you think it was weird that with that whole Neil announcement was a photograph of Journey with everyone but Jonathan?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So that means that Neil got the guys together somewhere without John, said, snap this photo and accompany this with my post, which led people like me to think, oh, Jonathan's really out, like now, like today.
Yeah, well, if that's happened, and I had no idea about that until
I'm
this.
I'm pretty sure I had to get the photo was small with the article, and I kind of wondered, did someone with the article put this photo with the Neil
Right.
thing, and this wasn't something he did? But
Mhm.
when I try to blow the photo up, I see Arnell and Neil one on one, and then I
Mm.
see the other new keyboard guys, and I see Todd and I see Dean. I see no Jonathan Cain in this picture, which makes me believe at some point in time you with intention took a photo of Journey sans Jonathan Cain, which sounds to me
Well,
like Neil Sean being Neil Sean
Neil
as I've
Sean.
known him to be. And that bothers me. This is what's ruined Journey, in my
Mhm.
opinion. And this is why, and
yeah,
honestly, and mark my words, when Jonathan Cain exits the door,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, Arnel Pineda will be not long
Yeah.
after that myself, I think so.
well, if that is indeed the case, and I'm sure what you're saying, and it was a real photo, and
Now it could have
yeah,
been let's be clear. Sean could have just put the tweet out, and then someone else
Mhm.
took this photo wherever this photo came from and put them together themselves as the guy from Blabbermouth or whatever website put together this story.
but
It
if
was on
if
Facebook, so
if it was a legitimate photo, then that's poor form,
Mhm.
absolute form,
yeah. And that's why I think if I'm in Jonathan Cain's camp, I would be a little bit like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" Just because my guess is what really happened is that Jonathan made a mention to their management, their agent, that I'm going to give you 2 more years of dates and go ahead and book that up. But after that, I'm going to reconsider my situation at 70 something years old, whether I want to be on tour. Neil gets a phone call from the other end saying the management of the agent, hey, John said that he's got, and Neil just went, he's out, he's leaving, because that's all he wants to hear. And because again, we got one guy who loves Trump, one guy who hates Trump, one guy who does this, one guy who does that. And so it's just constantly tit for tat in this band. And they're 50-50 owners. So there's no way to work it
Right.
out.
Isn't that stupid? Like people dividing over just political opinion is ridiculous.
Right.
Especially in Journey's world, in my opinion,
Sure.
because that's a very all encompassing kind of music. It's like for everyone around the globe. So they may have
Right.
no, and people in Arnell's country have no interest in Donald Trump or Nancy Pelosi or Kevin. They don't care. They're not listening to Journey for any of this.
Right.
Like
So
people have wars over politics on Faceplant. I call it Faceplant.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. Like It's just like, it's, yeah.
Mm.
That's why you'll never see me say anything political on my, not that I have a huge audience anyway, but I'm just saying, like, you know, in Australia, there are people that vote right, there are people that vote left.
Mm-hmm.
I've got friends that vote differently to me, and we're fine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We talk about it,
Right.
but it's not like I hate you and I never want to speak to you ever again because that's crazy to me, man.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, I think Kane doing that stuff with his wife in the White House definitely ruffled the feathers of Sean and his old lady, and it's kind of never really been
Right.
the same since. They've just been, seems like, at each other's throats. So if you watch them live, they stand as far apart as two guys can pretty much stand on stage. Very little interaction, and I've been saying to Ruben, to me, as a guy who's tried and true, it should be Ross,
Mm-hmm.
Steve, two Steves,
Right.
John and Neil. That's really what it should be. And I understand that with Perry's vocal limitations or where he's at his age, you'd have to detune some songs and alter some arrangements and make things happen. But I still go back to it, and I love Arn. Arnell does a great job. I never got to see Arnell. I saw them with Algieri one time. And I thought he did a great job. I was always really mystified why what I saw a year later was
Mm-hmm.
toast. And I was like, well, that guy did a great job a year ago. Why did they do that? And I just think that's like because what's going to happen here is if you got Kane exiting the stage, then Pineda lives the stage. What do we have left? We have Hardline or Journey Line or you got Todd and Dean and all these guys from Hardline. We don't really have Journey guys in this lineup anymore. At that point, it should just be the Neil Sean band and just cover all eras of his music, right? Just go from the beginning to this to that,
Right.
throw Bad English in there, throw some Hardline in there, make it a big Neil Sean extravaganza. But I think the paycheck is in the Journey name. The band versus brand is, as my brother Wendell would say, band
As your
versus
brother
brand.
Wendell would say. Yeah.
As Bob Nalbandian would tell us, band
Yeah.
versus brand, and the brand is Journey, and that's
Bob Nalbandian was one of the best people I've ever known in my life. That guy, he and I were quite close. We'd call all the time, and yeah, no, I miss that guy very much.
So I wish that these guys, for me as a true Journey fan, I would say I just kind of wish they could find a way to end it on a better note, wrap this up with a bow instead of a turd, and seems to be kind of always falling apart.
So
and
I
full of
take it.
trouble.
I take it if they come anywhere near you, you will not be going to this tour.
No, just can't find my way to make that happen. Here's what I should have put a picture of Ross Valerie behind me, because Ross Valerie is
yeah.
actually a bass player that I really enjoy as a bass player.
Mhm.
He's he to me, people don't give him the credit. Go watch the old interviews. Herbie Herbert clearly says Journey started when I put Neil Sean with Ross Valerie. That was the beginning of Journey. It was two different styles of guys and two different styles of music coming together. The bass and the guitar that he felt started this seed of Journey, and I agree. And so to me, I don't care what Neil says. If you don't have Ross, and then obviously Steve Smith is the classic era drummer.
Right.
Jonathan Cain is the classic era guy you want playing all those keyboards and piano parts. That's Journey, dude. That's what those balances to Neil's rock and guitar is what made Journey this awesome band. And when you take away balances and you start putting other guys in positions that are just a paid musician without this history, which Ross has 20, 30 years of Journey experience. I just say it's different. It feels different to me. I don't care how, as a bass player, I can literally feel the difference. And people would say, how do you know that, Evil? Because Ross Valerie never used standard tuning on a 4-string bass. How many of you know that? He always had an alternative tuning to his bass guitar. His low E was a low B. He was changing the tuning all the time. That's why some of those bass lines sound so unique, like, because of the way that bass was tuned. And so if you actually get into the actual bass guitar and minutia like I do, Ross is an amazing bass player. He could play jazz, he could play R&B, he could play rock, he could do a lot of different stuff, man. So
What was, and forgive me if I'm rehashing this. I mean, I saw it at the time, but what was the whole drama with didn't Steve Smith and Ross Valerie try to take over the name of Journey or something?
That's what Sean said.
I
Let's
don't
make
know.
that part clear. Steve Smith and Ross Valerie asked for equal ownership with Perry as a five, like it used to be in the days of Journey. They felt that we've been on tour doing this thing with you guys, and we've now invested our time back into it. Journey's been back up. Perry, as we all know, contractually still gets 10, 15% of Journey in perpetuity because he's a fucking genius. His lawyer, whoever that lawyer was, needs to be taken to dinner and given a gold trophy for
Yeah,
genius.
I don't have an issue with that because Steve Perry is a
Yeah.
vocal legend.
And so I think Ross and Steve were saying, hey, we don't want to be paid players. We want to have some more stake in this. And Neil and Jonathan said no. Of course, they would say no. They're the 50 owners of it at that point in time. So, but if you remember correctly, there was this like thing because the rumor was that Perry, if this entered this way, was going to step in and side with Valerie and Smith, which would have tipped the scales of Journey, ladies and gentlemen. And Neil Sean wasn't having that. This Perry guy won't even talk to me. Now he's going to come in here and side with these two. You're all out of here. That's the way it went. And so, and Ross and Steve were older guys saying, hey, if we reform the real Journey, couldn't we just do 40 dates a year and make a shit ton of money, right? And do half the work, So, but Neil wasn't having it. And that's what the tea leaves I read, the things and I've gone into some people and some guys who've actually worked backstage with Neil Sean in some Journey capacities in the Bay Area and asked questions before. And they were like, Neil and his wife have a very high-end lifestyle, let's just say. So he's going to
so what Jonathan Cain was asserting might be true.
I think Jonathan Cain was prepared to bring receipts, hence why Neil Sean backed down and said, okay, what do you want, Cain? How do we figure this out? Don't dump all my laundry on the table, Mr. Cain. And they both have it. I'm sure Cain has his own. That lady with running that church in Florida, I might need an IRS check on those books too, ladies and gentlemen. But
it's just, because I've got Christian faith and I go to church and all that stuff, and I look, and I respect everybody's beliefs completely. I've got friends that are atheists, but it is, I do I looked her up, there's some stuff going on there that's a bit, you know what I mean? And
100%.
Like this is, you've got to, I think you have to separate churches are run by people and people blow it, right? We all do in various ways, but that's very different to your faith and all that stuff. So when I see news going after some of these mega churches, that quite frankly need to be gone after, right? Because they're not doing the right thing. People go, well, they're attacking God. No, they're not. They're going, God, this is corrupt, and some of it is.
Some of these mega churches in Texas and Florida have places that look like palaces. And you just think how many people could have been helped with all that money if you had just bought the warehouse building down the street, pal. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying Neil allegedly. We don't even know. Maybe they're completely on the ups, but there are, as we know in the history of our country, America, there's definitely been some guys, some bakers, some Falwells, some dudes that have been scamming everybody. So.
Cool.
Well, thank you for joining us, TJ. We're going to have you back on here sooner than later because I actually was just thinking you were throwing more albums at us out there, and I was like, oh, we haven't done that before, and we haven't dove down that before, and so
you can do like a Michael DeBar album versus album. What do you think? You a fan there, TJ?
I'm easy.
I just do Detective versus Checkered Past. Yeah, you could look into both those bands.
You see, like I just like hanging out with you guys. So
Detective opened for Kiss, and Checkered Past is like a super
I was going to
group.
say that's where I think we need to get maybe because I know Andrew would probably want to chime in on that one too. We're all Kiss fans with the passing of Ace. There's a whole catalog of albums we could look at with that. And I think obviously we should do that at some point on a Rumble Live, because we could have multiple, I think up to like 9 people. We can have a big old conference of people, but we could have,
That's
3 or 4 or 5 of us talking Kiss and chopping it up. And I know TJ knows the Kiss stuff just like we do.
I would just say this though, there, Tim.
What
Check
do you guys
out.
think of
Oh, go ahead.
this new Dress to Kill box set thing?
I don't have it because it's only available on Kiss Online.
Isn't that, see?
That's stupid.
And I bought it digitally, right? But with the digital thing, you only get half of one of the shows. The other show you get the show.
Okay.
The first show you get half of it, and the other thing is like obviously it's Kiss. They want to make money, or Universal wants to make money. I understand that, right? I understand it's a capitalist society, whatever. But they want you to join Kiss Online. They want you to join the fan club. They want you to pay $50 a year, $US a year, so that they can charge you more money. And I'm not saying you should box it for free. I'm not saying that. But so they want you to pay money so you can buy the box set and pay more money.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
This is why
it's only available on Kiss Online.
Yep. Right. Yep.
This is why Evil just said, I love Dress to Kill, probably my top 5 Kiss albums of all time, but it's not worth $400 in any way, shape, or form, no matter what they put in there. And I'll just wait, because one of these guys is going to order it and burn all this stuff to the internet. And pretty soon on YouTube, I'll hit play and that whole concert that I wanted to hear, because that's really what I would be listening for, is the live discs of the live stuff. And that'll, I'm sure, find its way online, no matter how much Gene Simmons doesn't want it to, or whoever's in charge nowadays. So.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get you back on, because I think we should do some Kiss talk. I don't think we've ever properly explored with some album versus albums.
Yeah. And I think we should do Michael DeBard. But Tim, you have to watch his documentary, the documentary on him.
Okay.
It's fucking great.
I don't really know who he is, but I've heard.
You'll know who he is when you see a photo of him. He's been an actor, and he actually, detective. Check out the Detective album, check out the Checkered Past album, check out the documentary, and we'll chat again, I think.
Cool.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, TJ. Well,
thank you, legends, for having me.
Cool.
Thank you for coming back on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, and when you get your music video done, you hit us up. We'll play it here. We'll have you come talk about it. We want to hear the new song or the new video.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. See you guys soon.
Bye.
All right, brother.
Bye.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Raise your horns high.